gentlemen, I'm Tanya June Moore. This is the 25th anniversary of the Sedona International Film Festival. A special thanks to Digitech, Black Magic Design, and the Sedona Rouge for being our sponsors this year. I have another great filmmaker in the seat. We have a lot to talk about. Please introduce yourself and your movie.
My name's Josh Crook. I'm a producer on the film To Dust.
Mm-hmm. And we were just talking beforehand that this movie really looks inside a religion that we don't get to see the inside of very much. So can you talk about the premise of the movie and what it's about?
Yes. So the film is about an Hasidic cantor who loses his wife suddenly to cancer. And in dealing with his grief and his loss, he first turns to his religion, who has very strict rules about grieving. You sit Shiva, you spend 30 days, and then it's best if you move on, remarry, continue to live your life. He is struggling with that as an answer, and he's kind of being tormented by these visions of his wife's decaying body. Mm-hmm. So when he's kind of pushed aside by his rabbi, he goes to, a community college professor, to get these answers. And that's where we meet Matthew Broderick, who plays Albert. And he doesn't have answers either. So it turns into this weirdly comedic, dark buddy comedy road trip movie set to dealing with grief.
Yes. Well, yes, that really does sum it up. It's a road trip movie, but it's not what you think it is.
No.
How did you get Matthew Broderick involved in this?
We have a star-studded cast of producers as well as in the film with Matthew. So my business partner is Ron Perlman, the actor Hellboy, Sons of Anarchy, and Alessandra Nivola and Emily Mortimer are also two of our producers. And they happen to be very close with Matthew. So when we had our list of 5 names, he's at the top.
Yes.
And we go, well, it's this tiny little film. How are we ever going to get it to him? And Emily goes, oh, I just saw Sarah Jessica yesterday. Matthew's not working right now. He's just about to finish his Broadway play. And why don't we give it to him? And he connected with it right away. Mm-hmm. Geza was already attached, and the opportunity to work with him just coming off Son of Saul, I think, was really attractive. Mm-hmm. And our brilliant writer and director, Sean Snyder, really drew him into it. And I think it's some of my favorite stuff Matthew's done. He's just so charming and lovable. Yeah,
I was going to say, he's very well cast in this. Mm-hmm. I mean, he does make you want... He's such a likable character, and how awkward he feels with this whole thing is so apparent. He plays a good, awkward human being.
He does. It's a mix of what we've seen him do before and a familiarity we have with who we think he is, from Election and Ferris Bueller, and also something new where we get to see just a bit more of, maybe if those characters, what went wrong in their life, maybe they become this Albert character.
Yes.
So he is so charming.
He's very charming, and I love the empathy that he creates around Shmuel, right?
Yeah, Shmuel.
Yes. I'm like, I corrects him. Yeah. He's like, oh, I've been missaying it all along. Do we have a trailer for this one? Yeah. All right, we're going to show the trailer.
Oh, fun.
My wife, she died. What's to become of her body?
What did you write by your wife, man?
To Dust, rated R.
What's your friend's name?
Shmuel.
Jesus loves you, Shmuel.
I hadn't seen that yet, actually. That's great.
So it's very clever. It's cleverly done, and there's some great graphics in it. Moving. Who did the graphic design? The cartoon.
So the kind of claymation stuff you're referring to. That was done by an artist out of the UK, Robert Morgan, who's incredibly talented.
It was intense.
Yes.
It was intense.
Very much.
Yes.
There's everyone should watch it, but there's a couple scenes where I even kind of go watch it, through my eyes.
Right at the beginning, I was like, okay.
Yeah,
Yes. So I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but it is where it's definitely be ready for.
It's dealing with decaying body and what the imagination does with that. Yes. It's nothing so graphic that
Right.
You'd be shocked, but it is. It's how your mind wanders. Mm-hmm. and what you can imagine is often worse than what's actually happening.
And the kids in this movie.
Yes.
Even the kid that's picking on the kids are
Yep.
brilliant.
They are fantastic. Both of our young twins, not actual twins, but they play it so well that you believe they're brothers instantly. And our bully is actually the son of our Orthodox consultant who was on the film. So Alessandro had just made a film where he played a rabbi, and he had just met this community. It was just such an odd coincidence. He had just met this community, and our consultant was so wonderful. We met his son, and they actually beefed up that little role and everything for him because he just delivers it so well.
Yes.
He's actually a little scene stealer in that.
He was a total scene stealer in that, but how it resolves itself is really great.
Yeah.
They're like, maybe that's true. So what is the overall message that you feel like you're trying to convey with this one?
I think with this film, because it does deal with science and religion, the most taboo topics, especially when you start combining them, is the dealing with grief and how every individual deals with that is a universal feeling, but not necessarily a universal experience. And it's not to cast aside religion, to say it doesn't have the answers, or to say that science does. And in fact, in the film, neither side really solves any of it.
Right.
It's kind of that moment he has with the police officer you see at the end of the trailer, where he gets the most fulfillment out of what needs to happen. And ultimately, the climax is incredibly touching. And you're kind of holding your breath through some of it, but it's just, Sean dedicates this film to his mother who he lost, and a lot of it is him dealing with his own grief and his actual thinking of what's happening to her. So, it's a really interesting way to look at it if you've ever lost someone.
Yes, and I like that you used humor to drive a point home that we're all human.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what our faith is, we're still human and we still go through processes the same.
Absolutely. A lot of gallows humor.
Yes. But that's where Matthew Broderick, I think, really shined.
Yeah. He's so comedically funny. We've seen him do things like in The Producers and his roles. But Gaze's sincerity and earnestness also allows them to have such a great...
the straight guy and
it's almost a Hasidic Bialystok and Bloom kind of comedy relationship. It's really interesting.
Well, this is a movie that I think you could totally be proud of. What was it like getting the call from Pat saying that you made it to the 25th
That was
anniversary?
really exciting. So I've never been to Sedona before. My best friend actually was just here yesterday. He brought his young son. They went hiking. It looked fake. This it looks like a backdrop or a painting you would have seen. So we drove in from LA yesterday, and now getting to be here. This is our first day at the festival. Everyone's so kind and welcoming, and it's a really great community. So I'm excited to do our first screening, so I can really have the full experience later today.
Yeah, and we typically do a good job of filling at most theaters. I think you're in the big theater though, so
yes.
700 seats. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that'll be a really big audience for us. That'll be exciting.
But it's a good movie that's got a good draw, and it tells a story that I think most people don't get to see the inside of. Certainly.
It's a community that is, by the premise of the movie, usually by the book, closed doors. So it's a really interesting look. And Geza is actually a part of that Orthodox community, not this particular, Hasidic sect, but he brought such a realistic thing. He's actually a part of the burial society that's in the film that's shown.
Wow.
That's the real way they prepare bodies and everything. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. So how can the people out there in the Webiverse read about and hear about this production and follow you?
To Dust has its own Instagrams and Facebook pages. I think it's at To Dust Movie. The film is playing here in Arizona on March 1st for the week. And if you go to gooddeedentertainment.com, they have the full web page with all of the showings, cities, locations.
Great. So catch up with To Dust on their website. And stay tuned, because we'll have another person in the seat very shortly, another filmmaker, and we will catch you on the next round of this 25th anniversary Sedona International Film Festival.